Hi there, Uncle Davis here, and you're watching NPH TV Nothing Pro here. Now, recently you would have seen quite a lot of YouTube videos about people playing on Assetto Corsa in a heavy traffic Shutoko rewrite-through project. Now, you may wonder how you can actually set up such server for yourself. I've actually looked through YouTube quite a bit and I couldn't really find any tutorials on it. And I am lucky that I kind of figure out how to set up one for myself, although by no means that these are all the correct absolute 100% perfect setup. But in today's video, let's go through how I set up my server so that you may be able to take it as a reference and set up your own. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you need is AssettoServer. Hit the link in the description to come to this GitHub page and scroll to the installation for Windows. If you run on Windows, obviously you follow the Linux part if you run Linux, but this tutorial will be based on a Windows operating system. Now, the first thing to do is install ASP.NET 6 Runtime with the hosting bundle. So if we click into this link here, you will be presented something like this, and just making sure you're under Windows here, and then you install the hosting bundle here, because essentially you're going to run a server app. Once you downloaded it, open it up, and simply follow the instructions, follow the prompt. It's the usual next thing through the wizard, and you're done. Now, I've already got this installed, so I'm not going to do this right now. But any question, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and I can try to answer those. Back to the GitHub page, you can then next thing is to click on the latest stable release for the AssettoServer here, which you will then be presented with this page for downloading the actual app. 0.049 is the version that is the latest one at the time that I'm making this video. And you scroll down to the bottom and found AssettoServer win64bit.zip. Download it, open it, and once you got it, extract everything from here to a location of your choice on your computer, just making sure you do not extract this onto your Assetto Corsa folder. Now, in this tutorial, I've got a separate machine set up to host the server, so I'm just going to copy everything off here and put it onto my server. Now, as you can see, I'm now on my server. I've extracted that zip file content into a folder called AssettoServer-template in C drive. You can really name that folder as whatever as you want. Once you put it in here, then that's pretty much it for now. You don't have to touch this for now. So bear in mind that you can actually host this server on a machine that do not have Assetto Corsa game installed. You can definitely host this on a separate dedicated machine. Now, next thing is you go back to Content Manager on the machine that you have got it installed, and of course the Assetto Corsa game itself. And once you're there, you hit the server tab here, and then you can create a new server. If you do not have the server tab showing up on the top, simply go to the settings under Content Manager, under Appearance, and you should give that a tick, and that server tab will show up on the top. Now, back to the server tab, all you need to do is click the plus button on the bottom there. It will create a new server, and you just simply give it a name, say SRP test, which obviously stands for Shutoko Rewrite Project. And you pick the track, which obviously we're gonna pick Shutoko Rewrite Project. And now there are a couple of layouts that you can use here. Most of the people chooses the Datsumi PA. The reason is because it has the most number of pit boxes, which is 40. So let's pick that one for this tutorial. This one is for picking the car that you're gonna choose, which is not really necessary at this point. Drag all the way to the right to maximize the capacity that the number of cars can appear on your server. And you can set up a password as well if you want it to be a private server. Now, please make a note of the UDP, TCP, and the HTTP port here. We will need these port numbers when you set up the port forwarding rules on your router or on whatever firewalls that you might have in front of your server. Drag the package the number all the way to 60 hertz. That will give a better experience for you and your players who are in the server. Now the next thing to do is go to entry list here. What you're doing here essentially is adding the cars that you and your players can choose to drive. Also, some of these cars can be defined as traffic as well. So all you need to do is click plus here, and you can pick the car that you want to see in the server. I'm just here randomly adding a few cars, and that's it. You can add up to 40 cars, of course, because the track has 40 pit boxes maximum. Moving on to the rules tab, these are all really up to you how you want the server to be set up, such as fuel rate, damage rate, tire wear, etc, etc. Go to conditions, set up the time and the time multiplier, and onto the weather. I will suggest you to use weather effects. If you have so installed, it gives you a much better experience. And going to the sessions tab, this is important that make sure you untick the qualifications tab and the race tick boxes, because this server is going to run under practice mode. You can drag the slider all the way to the right to maximize the length of the session, and of course you can even just manually type in if you want the server to run as long as you like. So for example, 90 hours 30 minutes, you can run it for a month, you can run it for 2 months, 3 months, etc. Please be mindful though, running such a long server, if there's any network issue or any disconnection, anything like that, it may drop your server off the lobby registrations. Please feel free to play around with the settings. Now onto the advanced and details tab. Is not really in the scope of this video. Basically, these are just the advanced features that you can use. For example, the players can download the missing content through some links you set up in the server description onto your FTP server, etc. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'm more than happy to look into that for you. Alright, so we are pretty much set here. Now all you need to do is go down to the bottom here and click pack. What this does is it will pack the configurations of the server into a zip file, and you just save it to a location. Once it's packaged, it will show up the file explorer for you and highlighting the files you have saved. What you need to do now is you copy this file onto the server, which in our case is the server here. I'll just put it in here into the same folder that I've got AssettoServer. It is not necessary to copy the zip file itself. You can basically skip this step if you want to. Just simply extract everything onto the AssettoServer folder. But it's just personally, I like to have the original zip file sitting in the same folder so I can always refer back to it. If say I messed up something, I've got the original one, I can always get the original files out and restore the settings. Now all you need to do is then open up that zip file, extract all of these onto this level, which all I've done is just copy and paste. Now what this have done is we have now pasted the packaged configurations from the server. If you still don't know what I mean, you can now go into the content folder and you can see the cars folder. Now, these are not the full-on cars contents file. They are just essential files for the server to run to direct the user's computer how to render the car. So these are a lot smaller than the actual car mod installed on the game. So don't worry about the size too much. It's really small. The whole zip file that the package was is about 3 to 4 megabytes, so is okay. And then you head into the config here. You can see the entry list, which is all the cars are shown here. Now at this point, all you need to do is check the server config, just make sure everything is correct. As you can see here, you got the port number here, you got the maximum clients here, you got the car list there, and then you got other bits and pieces here. Now, as long as you have set up the port forwarding, now you're good to launch the server by hitting AssettoServer. Once you double click that, you will be presented with a screen like this, and the server is initializing. until the point that when it says lobby registration successful, then the server is up. However, at this point, the server does not have AI traffic. What you will need to do is once you have run the server for the first time, if we go back to the CFG folder, you will see there are now 2 extra files get generated. One is data track, parameters, and extra config. Now at this point, simply close the server by hitting the cross button and come back and open up this extra underscore CFG and find the AI traffic, which is right here. Of course, you can use Control F and change that to true. Control S to save. Now the AI traffic is ready. Now there's one more thing you need to do is you need to put in the AI spline. What an AI spline means is it defines how the car runs in a track, such as what lines they should do, what areas the car can run on, etc. Which is, as you can imagine, is pretty essential. So let's head over to get that. All you need to do is head to the Discord, go join the AssettoServer Discord server, and head down to the AI Spline releases session. Look for a post that is from 19th February 2022, which says improved AI Spline version 2 for Shutoko Revival project. And you download this fast_lane.aip file. Once you've done, head back to your Assetto server, go to content, go to tracks, go to Shutoko Revival project beta, create a new folder called AI. Then go in there and paste the fast_lane.aip. Now at this point, you have a server up and running with basic settings for the AI traffic. The final thing you need to do is to set up which car is going to be player choosable car, which car is going to be both, and which cars will be traffic only. To do this, simply head back to the Assetto server, go to CFG, and you open up entry list. If we come back to the GitHub page, it actually has instructions here saying you only need to add one line at the bottom of each class in the CFG file. AI equals auto means AI will take the slot when it is empty. AI fix means AI will always take the car slot, so the player won't be able to choose a car. That is useful if you have any traffic car pack that is not really designed for driving. And you can use AI equals none, which means the AI will never take that car as traffic. So all you need to do now is head back to the entry list here, and then you gave it a setting. So if I want this 2020 Toyota Tundra to be traffic and player, then I can do AI equals auto. If I want this above 500 to only be a traffic car, then I will do AI equals fixed, so no players can choose this car. Simply go through all of these to set up as you like, and once you have done it, hit save, which is Control S for the shortcut. You can now minimize this, and you're now ready to fire up the server. To do this, again, hit to the AssettoServer.exe. If it hits any error, it will stop and kill this box, and at that time, you will have to look at some log files, try to figure out what may be configured incorrectly. The logs in general are pretty good at that. As you can see here, it says lobby registration successful, which means the server is ready to go. Simply copy this link right there and go back to the computer that you have got Assetto Corsa installed and hit that link into a browser, and it should automatically shows up with the server details. As you can see, SRP test, and we've got our cars here. As you can see, the above is grayed out because we configured that to be AI only cars. That's why the player, me in this case, cannot choose that car. Any other car you can choose, because by default, if you do not set the AI flag, it will be default to AI equals auto. Simply pick a car and click join, and you're done. Now here comes the key part. You will have seen a lot of YouTube videos about running such a server with heavy dense traffic. To do that is actually not too difficult. Simply head back to your AssettoServer folder into the CFG folder and open up extra_CFG. In here, you will recognize this file. We were here a little bit earlier on when we were here enabling the enable AI traffic flag. Simply scroll further down when you see AI parameters. Everything under this line is configuration for how the AI is going to behave on your server. There are a couple of things that you will need to change to make your server have heavy dense traffic. First of all, we're starting with the minimum distance between the AI cars and the maximum distance between the AI cars. If you want the cars to be bunched up a lot more, simply change that number to, let's say, 13, and the maximum to be something a little bit bigger than 13 but not too much, so you can do something like 17 or you can do something like 15. Obviously, depending on the size and length of the traffic you have in your server, you have to play around with this number yourself, trying to figure out the best balance. Otherwise, if you have the distance to be too close to each other and then you have a lot of long trucks or long buses in the game, you will see AI cars eating into the other cars. So it's not good for the immersion. So just please keep that in mind. Next thing to change is spawn safety distance to player meters. I found 150 is a little bit too close, which means what happens is you will see cars spawning right in front of you, especially if you're driving a fast car. That is going to be very, very distracting. So you can change that number to something like 300, for example. Now please be careful with this number as well. If you make this number to be too big, you will start seeing issues when the traffic comes in batches. What it means is you will have, say, 10 to 20 traffic really dense, really packed, and then you will have nothing for, say, 200 meters, 500 meters, and then you'll have another batch of traffic. Unless that's something you want, otherwise just please keep that in mind when you play around with this number. Maximum spawn protection time in seconds is the other thing I have also changed. I've changed that to 16, basically doubling the default number. What this means is that any newly spawned AI cars, I want them to stay on the track for a little bit longer, which means that if I'm driving a slow car or if I'm having issues going through traffic, or if the traffic is just a little bit too much, then I'm like driving slow, and so that having this number a little bit bigger means any newly spawned car won't just disappear or despawn right in front of me, which again really breaks the immersion. Next two things is pretty optional, but you can play around with this, which is the maximum speed for the AI traffic and also the speed offset for the right lanes, which is the fast lane in Japan roads. So what this means is all the cars will drive at maximum as 80 kilometers per hour, but on the fast lane, they will be going at 90. You can also set up the maximum speed variation in percentage, which in this case is 15%. You can change to 20, 30, 40. Is really up to you. The very last thing to choose to change is the AI per player target count. This is the number of AI cards per player the server will try to keep. So if you have more players in the server, that's as far as I understand, it will try to keep more AI cars overall. So change that number to something like 20 or even 30, depending on the power. No, not 300. Depending on the compute power of your machine/server. That's pretty much it. There's one more settings that you will see here. It's called traffic density. Now, as far as I'm aware, this doesn't just magically change the density of your traffic. I think it's also say here increasing this does not magically increase your traffic density. So leave that as 1 because the settings we have done above is good enough. There are also dynamic traffic density as well, which comes in the form of array. You can put in the density according to each hours around the clock for 24 hours. I haven't really figured it out myself what's the best setting, but if you have, please feel free to leave a comment down below and we can all share our experience. Once you have done, hit save or Ctrl S to save the file, and now you're ready to run the server. simply head back here to click AssettoServer.exe and making sure it runs and show you the line where it says lobby registration successful. That is the indicator of nothing is incorrectly configured in the server. As you can see here, it says lobby registration successful. And that's it, guys. This is how you set up a server with heavy and dense traffic in Assetto Corsa running in Shutoko rewrite through project. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below and I will be more than happy to look at those and try and find some answers for you. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.